Welcome to Compounders on Capitol Hill 2012. My name is David Miller. I'm the Executive Vice President for IACP, and I'm absolutely delighted to have you with us. Our first presentation this morning is actually an overview of what IACP has done over the past year, and there's a lot of exciting things that we want to share with you, not only that are going to impact on what you're going to be doing over the next few days as it pertains to our lobbying and taking the voice of compounding to Capitol Hill, but you're going to get some sneak peeks of things that we have rolling out over the next couple of months that the IACP Board of Directors has created and made possible for us to improve the value of what you get out of your professional organization. Very simply, we have 3 days together. We start today with a discussion about some of the things that will help you have a greater understanding about the business of compounding and how the federal government impacts on it. Then we move in tomorrow to really focus on some of the things that you need to know to become a skilled advocate for your profession and for your colleagues. And then lastly, on Tuesday is when we hit Capitol Hill and actually talk to our congressmen and to our senators as well. I want to recognize a few people who, without IACP, would not be the organization that it is today. First is our line officers, our President Scott Kowalczyk and our President-elect Wade Seifert, who are joining me here today on the dais. Also, our Vice President Pat Stevens is in the room. Pat. And our Treasurer Gus Bassani, who is at the front of the room, and most importantly, our immediate past President, Dr. John Hur. John? Way in the back. Okay, back row bombers. I'd also like to ask each of the members of the IACP Board of Directors to stand up and be recognized. Eddie, David, the other David, Dale, Baylor, Gary, Ernie, John in the back, Lisa all the way in the back as well. In fact, yesterday, and there's Michael. In fact, yesterday, the IACP Board of Directors met for almost 4.5 hours, as we always do at CCH. Really had a very good and very interesting series of discussions, and I want to recognize them for their time, their commitment, their volunteerism over the course of the year. It requires a lot, quite honestly, to pay attention to me and the IACP staff. So these folks are actually looking at things on a very broad perspective, not impacting their own practices, but things that impact maybe somebody in Wyoming or in Idaho, and helping shape the direction of our organization as we move forward. Now I'd like to call upon IAC President Scott Kowalczyk. Scott wants to say a few words to get everybody fired up.
I'm the casual one up here today. Wade will have a moment of prayer when Wade comes to the podium. But I wanted to start just to talk about the quality of the board of directors that you helped elect, and to tell you how we got to where we are today. 8 years ago, I wanted change. I complained. I just didn't like the way things were going, not with IACP, but with the direction of compounding. We were constantly being attacked. We still are being, but things have changed. We're no longer on the defense all the time. Now we're on the offense. And why is that? Because over the last 6 years that I've been on the board, we put in place policies and procedures, and we've hired staff, this incredible staff that we have, that you're going to be being part of over the next couple of days. The policies and procedures in place now allow them to take on these attacks almost immediately. The board of directors now can focus on new things, where we're going to be in the next few years, new strategic planning. So the board of directors is diverse, it's passionate. There's not a yes man on the group. It's very entertaining, the debates that occur. We are every aspect, every niche of pharmacy, compounding pharmacy is represented. And our next year, we're going to be focusing more on the state level, the local level. We're going to be working with more of the boards of pharmacy. We're going to work with the attorney generals of those states, and we're also going to help even more so with state legislation. before rules get put into place that we have to then fight about. We're going to be part of that. We're going to increase awareness even more about compounding and what the role of the limited role the FDA is in the states. And we're also going to increase mobilization at the state and local level of IACP members. So if something happens immediately, we can mobilize that state and get some people down to where they have to be. Your IACP staff is second to none. I still can't figure out how they do it. So strategic planning, where are we going to be? Where do you want to be? I know people are complaining, things are happening, you're frustrated over the way the FDA is attacking, or things are happening in compounding. So now it's time for you to put up or remain forever quietly complaining in the background. You can do the right thing, or you can do the easy thing. The right thing is the harder thing. IACP has just issued a call for nominees for 2012 elections. So the immediate past president, John Harris, is the chair of a nominating committee, and this fall we're going to be asking for all members to put their names into the hat to run for the board. If you would like to be considered for one of these candidates for these open positions, please take the time to meet with any of the board of directors, meet with any of the staff over the next couple of days. It's on the website. You're getting those emails. Do we all read those emails? There are some very interesting and cool things going on right now, and that Wade and Dave is going to talk about over the next hour. This is the time to keep this, to keep where we are, be proactive, keep the direction the way we want it to be. Where are we going to be next year? Where are we going to be in 3 years? Where do you want us to be? What do you want us to do? What more services do you want? This is your time, all right? Attend the meetings. It's very incredible, very positive, and it's just exciting right now. Thank you very much. Wade?
You know, when David said I was going to give a prayer, he was kind of kidding, but it is Sunday. I could, but I will refrain from that. I'd personally like to welcome each and every person out in the audience. I see a lot of old friends. I see a lot of new friends. As we come, I have 3 basic things I want to share. The first thing is, tonight we have our RX Mixer. That's where we raise money for the IACP Foundation. Money that's raised for the foundation goes to fund drug studies, compounding drug studies, beyond use date studies. If you have not got a ticket or are not attending, you can buy one at the registration desk, first of all. Secondly, we have 8 tickets left for our political action dinner. That is Monday night, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. There are 8 tickets left. If you have not got a ticket and would like a ticket, see the registration desk in the back as well. And then finally, when I was preparing this talk, Scott gave me a list of things. Here's what you can't talk about, this laundry list. Here's what you may want to talk about, but here's what I'm going to talk about and David's going to talk about. So I'm left with just one last thing that I want to share with you. For those of you who may not be aware, IACP, as Scott has mentioned, has been very proactive this last year. We were doing a lot of not only in front of the scenes work, but a lot of behind the scenes work. Anytime something comes up to do with compounding, we're addressing it. Dagmar is all over it. She's like the Fox News of compounding pharmacy. The real and unbalanced truth is coming out with a press release on what happened, what really happened, what should have happened, and we're working for each and every one of you. I would like to thank each and every one of you for coming for a couple reasons. The first reason is you guys are the future of compounding pharmacy sitting out there. It's up to us to storm the hill on Tuesday so we can guarantee our physicians have treatment options and our patients can benefit from those treatment options. Those options being compounding pharmacy. And we depend on each other to make sure that our voices are heard. And with that said, I'm going to call up our Executive Director, David Miller.
Great. Thank you, Wade. You know, Wade, don't run off because we will be praying here in a few moments, all right? So, I have a question for you. How many of you got to see The Avengers? Okay. How many of you saw Captain America last year? How many know what I'm talking about? Okay, that's a good step. You know, when we were putting together the theme of this meeting, the marketing communications team at IACP, which is basically Dagmar and Alicia and the other 6 of us that work there, we were thinking, oh, it's the future of compounding, blah, blah, blah. And for all of us who have gone to Pharmacy Association meetings, there's always some sort of feel-good little tag phrase. We skipped that this year. And the reason why is we went with just this one image. It's a shield. It looks like the Captain America shield. And the reason why we picked that is because that's really why we're in Washington, D.C., is to tackle an issue, to be patriotic, and to also use the rights that we have as citizens and as businessmen to redress our government and to ask questions. Now, I have got a question for you. Now, I played football. I'm a klutz. I was not on the offensive line. I was defense. Basically, my coach said, you're big, you're tall, just stand there. And then when I tell you to run and hit somebody, go hit them. Or when they're coming at you, stand in their way. Now that's a good way to win a football game. You've got to have a strong defense. But you're really never going to win unless you also have an extraordinarily strong offense. I want to ask you a personal question. Just think about this. How long have you been a pharmacist? How long have you been a technician? How long have you been involved in compounding? How often have you said to yourself, if only pharmacy would do something? Fight the PBMs, fight the FDA, fight the DEA. Have a public relations campaign that tells the world how wonderful we are. If only pharmacy did that, we'd be okay. How many of you do that? At some point, have said, if just somebody would do something good for pharmacy. That's a defense. That is a defensive position because it's sitting back waiting for the offensive team to take over. Now, the reason I bring this up is because I want to walk you through some of the things that the IACP has done to defend compounding. But as Scott and Wade alluded to, things have changed somewhat. Our board meeting yesterday is a good reflection of that. We are no longer playing a defensive game. We're not in crisis management mode. It's now time for us as an organization, as a compounding specialty section of the profession of pharmacy, to go on the offense and start asking for the stuff that we want and we want for our patients. It's an interesting place to be. So let's talk about some of the things that we've done. First off, the past year, since those of you who were with us June of 2011, the balance of it, in 2012, the beginning of it has been incredible. The IACP board has a few very strong things that it believes in. Number one, increase the awareness of compounding with the public. Let people know what we do. Let legislators know what we do. Create advocacy outside of the profession. Grow the membership of this organization so that we have compounding pharmacists from every area of practice supporting the advancement of this particular thing that we do every day to take care of patients that most pharmacists are not even aware of. And then lastly, here in Washington, D.C., with our offices, to fully integrate ourselves with all of the national pharmacy associations. That's the basic objectives. How do we do? Once you got those objectives, we got to have something that is very specific to this is where we're moving forward. And we're going to be talking about some of the asks that we have for Congress and for senators over the next couple of days. But for those of you who operate businesses, it's one thing to say we had a great year, and it's another thing to say we made money, right? Because isn't that how we measure our success? There is some sort of numeric assessment. And the board has put some of those into place. Number one, we've got a long-term goal of getting our membership to 3,000. We have our P2C2, our grassroots group. Our goal is to get that to 200,000. And also to reflect on the fact that our organization's name is the International Academy of Compounding Pharmacy. What do we need to do to cross those borders and to reach compounders that are in other areas of the world to find similarities as well as differences that we can help address collectively. So those are our objectives. As we found out yesterday, our membership right now is at 2,706. Okay. Do you know where we were last year? Well, that's part of the problem, right? If our goal is 3,000 and we're at 2,700, you may say you failed, right? But in reality, last year we were at 1,900. So we went from basically 1,900 to 2,706. So we will make that 3,000. And you know how we're going to do it? Because people like you who are in this room, who feel passionate about compounding, are going to say to other pharmacists that they know, to their colleagues, to their technicians, to students that you encounter as preceptors, you need to be part of this organization. That's how we grow. In May of 2010, we were at 87,000 consumers. In May of 2011, we were at just around 150, and we have grown that to 163,000. Again, long-term goal is to hit 200,000 consumers who will be our advocates in addition to our own collective voice. A number of new membership benefits I want to talk about also, but let's talk about what we have been doing from an advocacy standpoint. Last year we began monitoring, Sarah and I, in every single state, every single week, every bill, every regulation, and every rule that's being promulgated at the state level as it pertains to the practice of pharmacy. That's Board of Pharmacy regs, Board of Pharmacy rules, state bills. And we're doing that for two reasons. Number one, what happens at the state level eventually comes up to the federal. The second reason is this: where is the practice of pharmacy regulated? At the state level. That's what we have been telling the FDA, the federal government, the DEA for years, and which Judge Corrigan ruled last September of 2011 in US v. Franks, where he stated categorically that the practice of compounding pharmacy is not under the jurisdictional authority of the Food and Drug Administration. It lies solely with the state boards of pharmacy. That was a huge win for us. Another huge win for us, the continuing and ongoing shortages of drugs in the marketplace. This has been in the media. This is something that we have taken advantage of as much as possible to position compounders as being a solution to this problem. By the way, does anyone know what the number one reason, as stated by the FDA, for the drug shortage problem that we currently have? What's the number one reason? What, Bill? Was that you, Bill?
Yeah, they're on increased regulations.
Increased regulations. What's the number one reason?
Quality issues.
Quality of manufacturing issues. Quality of manufacturing. The production by the pharmaceutical industry is responsible, according to the FDA, for 51% of all drugs that are currently on back order and shortage. That's an opportunity for us to step forward and say we can help solve this problem, and that lays the groundwork for the future. The DEA, which we'll be talking about more, constructive transfer, CMS reimbursement policies, both for Medicare Part B and Medicare Part D, as well as Medicaid. And lastly, something that Sarah and I have spent a great deal of time on is PDUFA, Prescription Drug User Fee Act. PDUFA is the federal legislation that essentially sets up the system where the pharmaceutical industry cuts a check to the FDA to get its drug approved. It's how FDA is funded now. And for any of you around this room, if you don't think that that doesn't make the FDA beholden to the pharmaceutical industry, you need to go upstairs, you need to pack, and you need to go home, because you ain't going to survive here in Washington, D.C. for more than a couple hours. That's unfortunately one of our biggest challenges as pharmacy and as compounders. Got a question for you. In fact, check your pockets. I need you to pull out 2 quarters and a dime. Literally. Check your pockets, get a wallet, whatever. I need 2 quarters and a dime. Not a dollar. I need 2 quarters and a dime. Diane, you got 2 quarters and a dime? You know, I love Diane. All she's carrying is a 50, right? Does anybody got 2 quarters and a dime? You got one? Oh, excellent. Thank you. So this, I can buy a share of KV Pharmaceutical stock with 2 quarters and a dime. I'm not joking. When KV Pharmaceuticals had Makena approved on February 4th, 2011, their stock went up to $13 a share. When they sent out the nastygram to compounding pharmacists on President's Day of 2011, and we started to react, their stock was still doing quite well. When we took this forward, along with the voices of OBGYNs, and leveraged social media to complain about their pricing, their marketing actions, when we went to the the FTC, the FDA, and to Congress, saying, this is a product that you have just approved that is selling for $1,500 a dose, and we have been making it for $20 a dose for 20 years. Their stock started to slide, and we kept the pressure on. In November, and if you haven't seen it, it is absolutely a must-read. KV Pharmaceuticals posted a study that claimed that they had gone through an independent analysis of compounded medications that showed that more than 3/4 of compounded samples were superpotent, subpotent, or contained dangerous impurities. In addition, they also went after our supplier colleagues and stated that the majority of APIs of hydroxyprogesterone caparate are being shipped into this country by partners like B&B and PCCA and Mediska and Letco and Fagron from unregulated Chinese suppliers. And the pictures on their website really cause you pause to think that our colleagues in the supply industry and we as pharmacists must be really sleazebags. The FDA at the same time was launching a study, and on Friday of last week came out with their results. And their results basically said the following. We sampled the APIs from all the suppliers. We didn't find any problems. We sampled compounded preparations of 17P from compounding pharmacists. And except in one small instance where one was slightly subpotent, we didn't see any safety problems, we didn't see any problems whatsoever. That sunk KV. And their stock, which last week was trading at about $1.50, at 10 in the morning when their CEO came out saying this study was great because it showed how good their product was. Obviously did not read the FDA's statement. We responded, and within 2 hours, that was hitting Forbes magazine, the Wall Street Journal, the Washington Post, and was picked up by so many publications that our last report that we had before we came to CCH showed that 88 million people were exposed to IACP's statement about the value of compounding pharmacists and 17P. One of the best quotes, and we'll be using this in our own campaign, essentially said, when you take a group of nice professionals and put their backs up against the wall and they fight back, they're probably going to win. And that's exactly who we are. And when I asked you, are you playing defense or offense? That was both defense and offense. And here's the payoff. Got 2 quarters and a dime? Because that's all that company's stock is worth today. 58.75 cents at close of business on Friday. Who are we going after next? I'm serious. Who are we going after next? And that's the question your board of directors has been asking. Not quite that way. Although my buddy Sam and I, we kind of think that way. Sam's a little bit more outspoken, I'm a little more political, but who are we going to go after? Because you know what? I don't know about you, but as a pharmacist, I'm tired of having my ass kicked. And I want to kick somebody else's ass. All right? I don't want to hear, and I say this to Scott all the time, I don't want to hear whining. Don't sit there and tell me what you can't do or what we can't do. Look at what we did. And we're just a little group of guys that believe in the right thing. And believe it or not, right won. So who are we going after next? And I want you to keep that in mind. Because as you look at the Food and Drug Administration's statements that they published and put into the marketplace, it reconfirms everything that we have been saying about ourselves, that compounding pharmacy, high quality, high standards, safe. We do it because we are taking care of our patients, first and foremost. We're not drug companies, and we're not out there trying to get doctors to write prescriptions. We work collaboratively with medical professionals. When they can come out and say, you know what, it's the same stuff, that's a great thing. When the court in Central Florida comes out and says, you know what, FDA, they're not manufacturers. They're practicing a profession, and that profession is regulated at the state level, and back the hell off of them. You can't issue CPGs that are based on your opinion. It has to be the law. If Congress wanted to regulate compounding pharmacy, they would have done it. They could have done it, and they should have done it, but they didn't. So there's a reason. Back off. The Franks case is going to be a major effort for us as it moves forward. I mentioned drug shortages before. We went into the marketplace after one of our colleagues, Michael Cohen at the Institute for Safe Medication Practices, a great guy, has done so much to help minimize drug errors, came out in the Philadelphia Inquirer essentially saying that compounding pharmacies are gray market. Gray market. Now, what does gray market say to you? Shady. You know, I've often been very frustrated, and I know the board members have been frustrated, and you probably have been too. Who's our biggest enemy? It's not the FDA. It's not, sorry, it's probably going to be a quarter by next week. It's not the pharmaceutical industry. It's us. One of our own colleagues is implying that compounding pharmacy is gray market. So when we asked Michael what the problem was, he admitted, you know what, I don't know much about compounding. So Scott led a team comprised of hospital pharmacists who are involved in compounding, Lisa Ashworth, who's on our board, Linda McElhaney, who is on the foundation board previously, both of whom who serve on the USP compounding committee, came forward and created an assessment tool that allows a compounding pharmacist to engage in conversations with physicians, with clinicians, with hospitals, to talk about the services that they perform. It is a stepwise dialogue. It's a simple, easy-to-use form launched out into the marketplace, and again, similar to the effect that we have established through our communications, reached about 78 million readers. Last week, we found out that the Illinois Pharmacists Association is using this tool in their emergency preparedness planning document for the state of Illinois, so that in the event of a drug shortage due to a catastrophe of some sort, the state government will be turning to compounding pharmacists to fulfill lacks within the drug supply system. Little steps, little offensive steps is where we're headed now. Y'all know what this means? Leah, great, Leah. What's in it for me? This all sounds good. Who writes the check to IACP? You do. It comes out of your personal pocket, your business pocket, either one. So what are you getting? Just wanted to give you a couple highlights. First off, when we get back from CCH, brand new website. It is consolidated, easy to use, easy to navigate, easy to find stuff. We're behind the scenes ripping whole sections out and redoing them. How many of you need to know what office use regulations are in your state? Okay, great. How many of you need to know whether or not you need to be licensed in the state of Massachusetts if you're shipping into Massachusetts? The answer is no, but we have that. How many of you want to know what the latest rules are related to controlled substances? Some of you do. It'd be good if all of you did. Those are things that we're in the process of overhauling so that you can click and go to that immediately. It's a very exciting website, and I'm very proud to say it's going to be a lot more easy for all of us to find things, because quite honestly, there's stuff on our website I can't find. So that's a new tool. We're launching a quarterly magazine that focuses on compounders. It's electronic, not print. Why? Number one, it's so we can distribute it to more people. It is going to be going out to our consumer advocates. It's an e-magazine that we can send out to congressmen and the congressional staffers. It's going to be profiling you. So if you'd like to be part of this, we call it Custom RX Connection. See Dagmar. See me, any IACP staff member, to become part of it. New member benefit. How many of you flew here on US Airways? I'm sorry. Okay? That's my airway of necessity as opposed to choice. We decided to try something, and that is a new public relations campaign. And last year we had an opportunity to try this out by creating an actual commercial that would air in airports, as well as an interview, audio interview, that would be broadcast on US Airways, and some additional exposures that reached approximately 75 million people over the month of May and June. We used a benchmark to see how many new consumers would come to our website, and it's still running. We got 653. But the really cool thing about this is the following. How many of you have done public relations or any sort of commercial work, locally? Baylor, I'm going to put you on the spot. What's it cost?
To produce a spot, you're talking a minimum of $2,500 per 30 seconds.
Okay, how about placement?
Depending where and how we go, $500 to $1,200 per 30 seconds.
Got it. What's your reach there in Richmond?
We look at cost per point, kind of how we do that. So reach maybe 100,000, 200,000.
Got it. Your IACP Board of Directors authorized us to go forward with this to the tune of $1,900. Soup to nuts. Placement, advertisement, US Air, we own the video, we own the audio. And we are sharing that out with our members. How many of you have seen the ad? Only a handful. Want to see it? Oops.
One size doesn't always fit all, especially when it comes to your medicines. Maybe a prescription is too strong.
Well, that's not quite right. Let's try it again.
One size doesn't always fit all, especially when it comes to your medicines. Maybe a prescription is too strong for your older parent. Maybe your child can't swallow a big tablet. Maybe you're allergic to ingredients in a manufactured drug. Where do you turn for help? To a compounding pharmacist who is specially trained to work with your doctor to create the right drug for you. To learn more about personalized medicines and to find a compounding pharmacist near you, visit iacprx.org.
That's it. Short, sweet, simple. Now, the thing is, it uses something that's easy to understand, and it takes it out of the complexity of what we as pharmacists try to convey about customized medications. That this is unique, that we work with your doctor, we work with you to create what you need. And this is something that we are going to be spinning out to all of our members. You can use this for free. You can modify the end, you can put your pharmacy logo on it. We don't care. We want you to help get this message out. There'll be supplemental materials, advertising slicks, etc. So that's one more thing as a member of IACP that you can join in collectively and benefit from, grow your business, and also grow our organization. For those of you who surf, where are the surfers in the room? No surfers? Not one? Chris? Oh, Chris. Stand up, Chris. All right. Chris Schulte, board member, lives in Pensacola, Florida. Every time I talk to Chris, where's Chris? In his pharmacy? Show of hands, he's in his pharmacy? No. Show of hands, he is sitting on a beach somewhere, all right? It's the beach. Thank you, Chris. We are all going to the beach again. Educational Conference 2013, huge success this year, our very first time having a winter meeting. We'll be going back to Dana Point, California. This time we're not going alone. One of the biggest complaints you hear of pharmacists is, I don't have enough time. I have to make choices. We're trying to minimize that. This year, IACP, the American College of Apothecaries, and the American College of Veterinary Pharmacists will be having their meeting together. That means more opportunity to network, more opportunity to learn, and it means one less choice that you have to make. We're hoping by the time we get to 2015 that we'll have absorbed a couple of other pharmacy associations as well into this. I'm not yet certain we're going to take over APHA, but we might. So I invite you to come, and I invite you to ask questions and to look at some of the intriguing programs as they are posted out onto our website. But most importantly, I want you to get your picture taken with a surfboard, because one of the items that we have for RX Mixer is a custom designed surfboard by one of surfing's famous surfboard makers that is the IACP Educational Conference logo, and it's sitting outside. So over the course of the next few days, get your picture taken with it. It's also being auctioned off tonight at RX Mixer. Getting towards the end here, and then we'll start into our main program. Do want to take a moment and tell you about a new benefit that we also launched just 2 months ago, and that is IACP now provides an on-demand library and a series of webinars that are specifically related to the practice of compounding pharmacy. Programs designed for technicians, programs designed for pharmacists. You can listen in live, you can watch them during your workday, you can access them at home at your convenience. Our first one was on how to survive an FDA inspection, and according to the web hosting organization, it was the largest attendance for a pharmacy program that they had ever had before, and that's all of you guys jumping in, and we thank you for that. I also want to recognize our colleagues at the USP. They have given us exclusive rights to broadcasting 10 webinars on USP 797, USP 1163, USP 795, quality assurance, etc. They are rolling out literally while we are here at CCH, and I'd encourage you, if you have techs, young pharmacists, pharmacy students that you want to train, these are a great, easy access item that you can do that training. You don't have to send them anywhere, and they get all kinds of information. We're also going to be launching out 4 seminars this July on DEA, and my personal favorite, which I get to do, is handling manufacturer cease and desist letters. And I want you all to be on that one, because we're going to have fun. And remember, Makina sent, we got KV Pharmaceutical cease and desist letters, and that's what it ended up being. So my question for you, as we get ready to start our morning program, as we really step into CCH, what do you want to be? Do you want to be on the defensive? Do you want to let the FDA tell you what you can and can't do? You're going to watch while the DEA walks in and says, well, you know what? You can't send that patient prescription for an intrathecal medication over to the doctor's office. You have to let the patient pick it up, even if that is not in their best interest. Is that what you want? Do you want the pharmaceutical industry to be constantly telling you what you can and cannot dispense and compound for a patient based on a prescription you receive? Do you want third parties telling you that we're not paying for that drug because it's not FDA approved? Do you want to tolerate listening to news media picking up on the words from the FDA and the bureaucracy that says compounding drugs are unsafe, illegal? Because they say that. So what do you want to do? Defense or offense? And that's why we're here, is to help you make that decision, because hopefully by the day Tuesday is over, Congress will have known that they have been put on the offensive team of IACP. So thank you for being here. Thanks to the leadership. And if President-elect Wade Seifert would like to say a short prayer for our friends at KV Pharmaceuticals, I'm sure we'd all like to bow our heads.
David, I think they need a eulogy.
Eulogy, yes. Or we could just all take up a collection, buy a few shares, and send it to them. Anyway, thank you very much. Our first program will begin at 10 o'clock. That means you got a few moments to do a bit of a stretch, socialize, and we'll start momentarily. Thank you very much.